All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rakak Kwadash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders, the elder bishops, the great Millstone, Ruel. Peace and salutations to the elect scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, to the men on the highways and the byways that are pushing out this word in truth and sincerity, and to the remnant men, women, and children of the elect. To you all, I say Shalom. My name is Ahyash. I'm back with another lesson through the power and spirit of Yahawashi, and I just want to give an update. As we know, November 1st is right around the corner. We got a couple of days until November 1st, where that SNAP benefit expiration date is set to take place, and we're waiting and anticipating to see the result of it. Because that's going to have a major impact on a great deal of families here in America. With this system as it's currently set up, with a lot of people, a lot of American citizens are on welfare, and a lot of American citizens are dependent on these welfare benefits. Okay, these SNAP benefits. Okay, and with the expiration date of Saturday, November 1st, it could really turn into something very, very, very serious. So, at the end of the day, this, what it comes down to is, and what we've been going out in the highways and the byways and preaching about and giving that warning is, you can't tarry to turn to the Lord, because at some point in time, not only will these SNAP benefits be obsolete and done and gone, but how about any type of any currency, any form of any way to sustain yourself here in America, Babylon the Great? The whole entire system is going to collapse, right? So it's not going to be bad for just those who are on SNAP benefits. It's going to be bad for anybody who possesses any type of money, because it's going to be worthless. It's not going to have any value, regardless if you're going to be on SNAP benefits or regardless if you have millions of dollars in the bank. Once this dollar collapses, it's not going to be worth the paper it's printed on. You know what I mean? So, at the end of the day, it's truly about, and this is for the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, because only the nation of Israel can repent. Only the nation of Israel will be, only the elect of the nation of Israel will be delivered from the perils that are set to take place. So, I got a couple of points I want to make with this. The first thing is this article from USA Today. It says, government shutdown latest, senators scramble as SNAP benefits set to expire for first time. It says, standalone bills meant to address shutdown pain points such. Let me read that again. Standalone bills meant to address shutdown pain points such as expiring funding for food stamps and military pay have continued to fail. And I think they implemented some sort of emergency funds for the military to receive their pay, to some level, to some degree. I'm not sure if it was fully, because even in the field that I work, I know, because I do work with veterans, I know it's been a very difficult process for them to get their education benefits, to get their housing allowances and things of that nature. So it's affecting a lot of people across the board. You know what I mean? It says here, funding for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, commonly known as food stamps or SNAP, will lapse on November 1st, the first time in the program's 60-year history as the consequence of the government shutdown spread across the country. So this is the first time in the 60-year history of SNAP benefits that it's going to be shut down. You know what I mean? Which just goes to show these are unprecedented times that we're in. All right, we're at we're in the last days of the last days. We're watching Babylon the Great collapse and fall in front of our eyes. It's no coincidence. All right, we've been preaching about the end, starting with the elders and apostles on down. We've been preaching about the end for such a long time. It's at some point it becomes, it's gonna actually come. Okay, so you can scoff and you can scorn all you want, and you can act like you can dismiss the sentiment of prophecy and things that are inevitable. Because look, if you look around, if you're being honest, and you look around at America, Babylon the Great, you can see that this place is done. Okay, if you're being honest and you're being truthful. But a lot of people are actually scared. See, a lot of people don't like to deal with the reality of situations. Why? Because they're scared. Okay, and that fear brings a level of for lack of a better word, you don't acknowledge things in its proper context when you're scared, when you're afraid. Okay, and that's what we see with a lot of people. It's not that people don't believe; they see it and they don't want to acknowledge it. Because at the end of the day, people don't want to see Babylon fall. They don't want to see this place collapse. All right. But the truth of the matter is, prophecy says so. It's the will of Yahawah by Yahawashi says that Babylon the Great will fall, will collapse. All right. And that's just what it is. And there is no cure. Okay. Scriptures say Babylon shall not be healed, and it shall not be healed. Period. It says, that's why lawmakers have started proposing more standalone bills that, while not capable of fully reopening the government, would address the crisis' biggest pain, from the snap impasse to widespread concern over military pay. All right, so eventually it's just going to become a thing where snap benefits are going to fail. Other things like 401k, any type of assurance that you may have, any type of plan that you may have that may so-called secure your future, okay, retirement funds, things of that nature. This whole thing is going to collapse, okay? It's not just SNAP benefits. This is just the start, Now, whether they, provide some sort of emergency funding to reinstate people's SNAP benefits, that's to be seen. But even if they do, you have to acknowledge that we're that much closer to this thing just completely collapsing, because the just the mere possibility that we've gotten to this point and people could go hungry at some point in just a couple of days, it just goes to show, people gonna start crashing out for real. It says, let me just read this last paragraph. It says, still, lawmakers haven't managed to pass anything to ease the shutdown pressure on Americans. Several measures from both sides of the aisle, including bills that would pay federal workers and save safety net programs from running out of money, even as the government stays shuttered, have failed and will continue to fail, at least until party leaders change their minds. So again, when it says until party leaders change their mind, the thing with the government shutdown is that these two sides have to agree. They have to agree on funding, they have to agree on spending, and they have to agree on how to properly fund the government. And when you don't, this is what happens. A shutdown happens. So, and this is what we're seeing, okay? The infighting that the scriptures prophesy about, okay? This is the infighting that creates a government shutdown, okay? Let me just grab that real quick, because, this is the book of Matthew, chapter, I'm slacking, but this is, what's it, Matthew, is it 11? Let me see. Let me just search it. It's like it's a little late and I'm a little tired, so Matthew, not 11:25, Matthew 12 and 25. Slaki. Matthew 12 and 25 says, and Yahawashi knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? And it won't. It won't stand as long as these two sides continue to disagree and have the infighting that we see, which lead to government shutdowns, which leads to all types of animosity and chaos. Okay? And make no mistake about it, this is an orchestrated chaos. This is an orchestrated collapse, okay? So, what we're seeing is no coincidence. It's all planned and played out, and it's all done through the power of Spirit. Yahawashi. Beautiful. All right? So, let me go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 31, verse 1, okay? Okay, because what happens is when you go ahead and put your trust, okay, and you allow this man to just dictate how you're going to provide for your family, and you just say, you know what, I'm just going to sit back and get these benefits and not do nothing and not be proactive about providing for your family, this is what happens. Okay, you end up trusting in this man a little bit too much, and it puts you in a bad case. Okay, and there's brothers in the truth, in the spirit, man, believe as men in the Lord who happen to get benefits, and ain't nothing wrong with actual benefits. Nothing wrong with providing for the poor. Okay, it's actually a righteous thing. But Esau Edom, he don't do nothing in the spirit of righteousness. Okay, he provides for the so-called has welfare programs as a means of control, not as a means of righteousness, not to do a good deed, right? But for a means of control, independency. That's how Esau coming. Isaiah 31 and 1 says, and look at the caption: help not in Egypt, but in the Most High. And in the NLT, it says the futility of relying on Egypt. All right. So this is what you have to understand. The scriptures is giving us the warning, man. It says, woe to them that go down to Egypt for help, and stay on horses and trust in chariots, because they are many. Okay. And in horsemen, because they are very strong. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord. See, so your dependency is on Esau Edom, again, in America and Babylon the Great against the enemy, and not in Yahawashi. And that's where you're going to go wrong, and that's where you're going to fail. Okay? Because those of you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans that are not in the spirit, not seeking the Lord, not calling on the names of Yahawashi with truth and sincerity, not in the spirit of repentance, you're in for a rude awakening is an understatement. All right. It's going to get super bad out here. Okay. So we just have to sit back and wait, because we know what prophecy says. Let me get this. I thought this was extremely funny. I saw this video on X, and I was like, yeah, I got to play this in the lesson. Check this out.
I think this is food stamps gone. Section 8 gone. All your SNAP and EBT benefits gone. Now you got to go back to Tyrone. Woo! I think this is great. We have just single-handedly saved the black family. Why? Because Tasha can't run out on Tyrone anytime she get mad and think the government going to take care of her. Tasha can't leave Tyrone and think that the kids going to eat. Tasha can't leave Tyrone and think she's going to get a free rent. Tasha can't depend on the government, because years ago, black women turned their back on black men for government assistance, for food stamps, for Section 8, for welfare, for WIC, for all the things that black men bring into their household. They said, no, we don't need that. I'll go file to the government and they'll give it to me. Trump said, hell no. Woo! Now you're going to have to start choosing better. Woo! Now women are going to have babies with men that actually want to have babies with them. Woo! Now women are going to have to vet their partners and not be able to just hit them up for a check every time and think they can live off the government. Woo! This shit amazing. You're going to see more wives and less baby mamas. You're going to see more two-parent households, because it's going to be a family family unit because success is a team sport. You're going to see women go back to their men, go back to their child's father and try to work things out and not childishly run out to the next nigga. Why? Because Donald Trump and the government don't got your back no more. Because you can't go over there and get free food stamps and sell them bitches 40 for the 80. Because you don't have a $72 rent anymore. Because now you're going to have to figure it out. And the only person that's left is that black man that you walked out on years ago. And the price of pussy going down too. Donald Trump did it with this one, and I'm here for it. Queens, go back to your kings and work it out. Baby mamas, go back to your baby daddies and become wives. It's time for us to work together. This is actually amazing. No longer will you be incentivized by quitting on your household. No longer will you be incentivized by quitting on your marriage. No longer will you be incentivized by quitting on that black man. You are no longer incentivized to leave. So baby, you either pay or stay. That ugly money.
Okay, so through the spirit, you know, it was a lot that he said that was facts. Like a lot of what he said was facts. Some of it was going off. You know what I'm saying? Like he said, you know, this is going to save the black family, which it's not, because the only saving of the so-called black family is our Lord and Savior Yahawashi and being delivered into the kingdom. Okay, ain't no saving nothing here in Babylon the Great. You know, not in this wicked, wretched flesh, not amongst the heathen, not here in Babylon. No, our deliverance, our salvation, and when we're in the kingdom, that's what will save the the so-called black family. Okay, nothing here. Okay, but he was stating, you know, some you know, a lot of facts too. You know, because the truth of the matter is, you know, when again, and I was mentioning it, you know, just you know, right before I played the video. Right, you're no longer going to be incentivized. Okay, you don't get to play both sides of the fence at all. You know, get to deal with a man in any kind of way, shape, or form, when you want, how you want. You know, because you got benefits and you can you know, come and go as you please, this, that, and the third. It's over for that. Okay, you will no longer be incentivized by you know, leaving the so-called black man. Okay, those days are over. You're going to have to get with the men. You're going to have to shut the fuck up, and you're going to have to figure some shit out. Swallow that pride. You know? And that video, it was funny. It was, because he was, you know, he was being serious, but, you know, he did it in sort of a funny, comedic kind of way. You know, but the truth of the matter is, you know, Donald Trump done had enough playing with you so-called black women, because technically he don't need you no more. And Donald Trump is a puppet for the elites, and the elites, they don't need you anymore. You've done your job. Okay, which is to detach the nuclear family, which is to break apart the nuclear family. Okay, have a disdain for the so-called black man. Be an independent woman, okay? But all that's gonna come back on your head. You know, all that's gonna come back to bite you in your ass, right? Because once, you know, once you ain't getting them benefits, you're gonna come running back. You know, and to be honest with you, a lot of Jakes is gonna be like, nah, F you. We don't want you. We don't need you. You know. Now you want to come back because you need something, because you hungry, because them kids is hungry. Oh, here you go. You know, but it's gonna be too late. It's gonna be too late. All right. So this place is going down. I also wanted to. I saw this video here. One of the brothers put it in the chat. Brothers from the camp, you know. And just for the sake of, you know, I saw the video, I saw the title of the video, and I was like, yeah, this place is done. America's is circling the drain, man. America's circling the drain. And real quick, let me just get this precept, because we was talking about the women in that last video. Isaiah 32 and 9, it says, rise you up, women that are at ease, hear my voice, you careless daughters, give ear to my speech. Look at the NLT. The NLT in Isaiah 32 and 9 says, listen, you women who lie around in ease. Listen to me, you who are so smug. In a short time, just a little more than a year, you careless ones will suddenly begin to care. You careless ones will suddenly begin to care. right? When you lose the EBT benefits, them SNAP benefits, you're gonna suddenly begin to care. It's gonna shine a light on that so-called, that fake false sense of independence that you have. And you're gonna realize it ain't as cracked up as, you know what I mean? You know, in a short time, just a little more than a year, you careless ones will suddenly begin to care, for your fruit crops will fail, and the harvest will never take place. Verse 11, tremble, ye women of ease, throw off your complacency. Throw off your complacency. You women have got complacent here in Babylon the Great, because Esau, Edom done tricked you. Okay, that serpent, okay, he done bit you, and that venom done ran through all you, and he done convince you that the so-called black man is the enemy. All right, but again, we know it's a part of the curses. We know that our women would not be our women here in Babylon the Great. Okay, but again, it speaks to prophecy. It speaks to the word of the Lord. It speaks to the will of the Lord being done. You know, it says, "Tremble, ye women of ease, throw off your complacency, strip off your pretty clothes, and put on burlap to show your grief. Beat your breasts into sorrows for your bountiful farms and your fruitful grapevines. For your land will be overgrown with thorns and briars. Your joyful homes and happy towns will be gone." Okay, so all we see these women running rampant through social media, okay, with that pride, talking about what they got and how they don't need a man and this, that, and the third, all in the spirit of being festive and, moving around as if they ain't got no cares in the world. That's all. Your joyful homes and your happy towns will be gone. You're going to see a lot less women talking shit on the internet. All right, you're going to have yours that's just going to rebel to the end. But at the same time, you're going to see a shift in the energy, because the calamities and the judgment are going to be undeniable. And women going to need a hiding place. And the only hiding place for you women is going to be a man, specifically a man in the Lord, one who Yahawashi is with. Because if Yahawashi, you get with a man and Yahawashi, ain't with him, he's going to be worthless to you. So, and again, a brother sent this video. I don't need to play it, but I just wanted to show. It says mass layoffs as economy nosedives. See the title of this video? Breaking: mass layoffs hit as economy nosedives. Okay, and this is from a guy who's got 2 million followers. Okay, well, 2.5 million followers. This video got 243,000 views. Like, people are, and I say that not just for the sake of saying it, but people are paying attention to what's going on here in America. The downfall, the collapse of this place. People are seeing this place circle the drain. People are paying attention to it. All right, and another brother, I think the elder from GMS North Carolina, Elder Hawad, I think that's who I got this from. I just screenshotted it. You see this here? It says this is from Twitter. All right, I think it's the Kobesi letter. I think that's how you say it. It said the recent layoff announcements. Now look at these companies. There's 15 very high-end major companies that everyone are familiar with: UPS, Amazon, Intel, Nestle, Accenture, Ford, Norvo, Microsoft, Salesforce, Paramount, Target, Kroger, like the Meta. All right, these are well-known, established companies here in America, and and some of them may not just necessarily be here in America, but these are countries who are very well known. They hire a lot of people to make a lot of money. And look at all these layoffs, man. Recent layoff announcement: UPS 48,000, Amazon up to 30,000, Intel 24,000, Nestle 16, Accenture 11, Ford 11, 9. Let me see if I can do something. 48, that's 78, that's 90, 102, 102 and 61. 118,000, 129, 140, 149, 156, 161, 161 to 6, 167, 167, another 3,000 here, about 170. Look, that's the spirit. 1,444 employees. 170, and about another 2,000, about 172,000 employees with just these companies alone. So hey, this place is crumbling, falling on its head. That's the spirit of Yahweh Shemal Shai. That's the power and the spirit of Yahweh Shemal Shai, which is a beautiful thing. It's going to lead to, we already see 2nd Ezra 16 coming to pass. Let me just go here real quick and read a little bit of this. It says, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? And we're seeing the beginning of those days, okay? Where plagues, calamity, famine, all of these things are going to be taking place, and only Yahweh Shemal Shai can cover you. Verse 18 says, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine, right? And great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, and the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. Okay? And you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, you better amend your ways. You better amend your ways, because judgment is coming down, and it's coming down heavy. All right? And there's no escaping them. These prophecies concerning the judgment will take place. They have to take place because the Lord said so. All right. Verse 20, but for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case, right? Because, like I always say, people are in their routine and it's not getting broken, and you can still go to the grocery stores and pay for this and do this, that you got a little bit of freedom, but just like that, sudden destruction will come upon you. All right. That they shall think themselves to be in good case, and even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. So it ain't gonna be no if you, but as soon as you think you escaping the first calamity, and you got some food in your house now and you straight, guess what? The Lord ain't done with you. All right. If you're not a part of the elect, good luck. All right. I'm gonna leave it there. I hope you were edified. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahawashi, by Hashem Kakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders, the elder bishops of Great Millstone, who rule well. Peace and salutations to the elect. Shalom.